Welcome back to the Value-Driven Investor Podcast, where we forge value-driven investors on a mission to live life on their terms. No matter where you have come from or where you are going, becoming a value-driven investor is in all our best interests, because becoming financially free allows us to focus on what matters most, fulfilling our purpose. Our community of value-driven investors is committed to showing you the way. With the support of this community, you are sure to reach your goals. For all of us in the value-driven investor community, there is no greater gift than the gift of giving, because together, anything is possible. All right, we're back today on the Value-Driven Investor Podcast, and I think this could possibly go down as one of the most inspirational podcasts that we ever have, and we just got started. And I'm not really kidding about that, because today we have Shelly Kane on, and she is a single mom, or was a single mom at the time when we start this story, who went from rags to riches utilizing her entrepreneurial spirit and the leverage of real estate investing. So today I'm excited to introduce Shelly Kane. Shelly, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tim.
So Shelly, you know what? I want to go back because when you told me your story, it blew my mind, because I just could not, I've never been a single parent. So I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine what it's like. Why don't you take us back to that point in time where you realize that, like, hey, I'm on my own here with my kids and I have to make something work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, at the age of 28, I found myself going through a divorce, and my ex-husband left to the San Francisco Bay Area and left me with my 3 kids here in Eugene, Oregon, to raise them full time. And at the time, I was actually working at the local community college to try to make ends meet. And, it's probably no surprise to anybody that, in education, you just don't make a whole lot of money. And, I had my kids 90 to 95% of the time, and, working full time at the college. I really wanted a different lifestyle and something to better my kids and I. So at the time, I decided to start a side hustle, and I started a wedding and event planning business. So that, my kids and I could have a lifestyle that I wanted, better than, making my $35,000 to $40,000 per year.
Well, and at the time too, I would think that in your mind, you're going from a dual income with your husband and yourself, and then taking care of your kids, to now you're a single income. And like you said, you're in the teaching business, which is not the most lucrative business. And now you have to have that single income to take care of your family. And how many kids did you have?
I have 3.
Yeah, 3 kids. So a single income, trying to take care of 3 kids. I mean, that's a big undertaking. So were you doing this to just try to get more income to survive, or what was your mindset at the time?
Yeah, I was living paycheck to paycheck. $35,000 to $40,000 is not a lot of money, especially with, 3 mouths to feed. Yeah. And they, of course, were in athletics, and I had to pay for their sports, and there's a lot. I mean, as you know, life is, food, life, kids, it's expensive. And yeah. I wanted to provide a better lifestyle for them. It just wasn't cutting it with just one job. So
did you always have that entrepreneurial spirit? I mean, was that always there, or was it more of a spark like this that got you to jump into that realm? Because like you said, I got to start a side hustle. I mean, that's entrepreneurial thinking, but were you kind of forced to go into that because you were in the survival mode?
Yeah, I feel like I was forced into it. Of course, nobody's forced into anything. It's always a choice. And it's always one of those things that, when you find yourself in a really shitty situation, you either sink or swim, or you have to figure stuff out. And that was one of the things that, I knew that I needed to do in order to, provide that lifestyle that I wanted for me and my kids.
So you got into the wedding planning business, and did that go well for you?
It went really well for me, actually. It was interesting because I worked at the college. I had that 7 to 3:30 shift, 8 hours a day, and then I would get off from that job, go pick my kids up immediately from school, and take them around to all of their sports activities, and then of course come home, make dinner quick, and feed them. And help them with homework and all of those things. And then as soon as 6:30, 7 o'clock hit, I was then planning with my wedding clients until my kids. I would then take a break, make sure my kids were put to bed, and then I would keep going. I would keep working until the evening hours, and then wash them through.
Hold up a second, Shelly. Like she's really underselling this, Tim. Like in the evening.
Well, wait, Bob. Let me let everybody know what's going on here. So
yeah.
Bob Grand, obviously our boy Bob Grand, everybody knows he needs no introduction, but he is married to Shelly, and so that's why we're having Shelly on today, because obviously we have a great relationship with her. So Bob, yeah, fill us in.
Yeah. She says, I'm like, a lot of people, when they think about wedding and event venue planning, they kind of think of it on a small level. Like her business became the biggest business probably in Lane County. She did the most premier weddings, I think. And I didn't really quite understand it myself. When you think of wedding, you're like, oh yeah, like a backyard wedding. Yeah. No, this is like high end, high level planning. At one point where one of the weddings, she told me, she said the budget was like $250,000, and they rented out this whole complex up on this mountainside. And it was this big giant venue, like massive weddings. Like they take hours upon hours upon hours to plan. So this is no like, I'm just planning stuff, on the side, and I'm making a little side hustle. This is a full scale, like, and when she told me that, I was just like, what? Like, who are you? Like,
that's awesome.
And then on top of that, everything else that she does.
And then on top of that, so you're teaching, you're being a single mom, and you're doing a wedding event planning for like ridiculous weddings. That's
10 of them a year, 10 or more a year. So you imagine your summer with like 10 or more of those every single weekend during the summer. You've got these massive ass weddings going on. It's crazy. So
it's actually double that, but
yeah,
more like 20.
Yeah, more like 20. Crazy amount of weddings.
Okay, Shelly, we'll keep going then. So now, thank you, Bob, for that context, because that definitely paints a really good picture for me.
Yeah, well, so I was doing well then. I had 2 jobs. I was making good money, and I was doing amazingly well financially. But then I started realizing I had 0 time. I was working all the time. I didn't have a whole lot of time to give to my kids, that extra time. I had 0 time for myself. So I really needed to come up with a solution. I was burning the candle from both ends with 2 full-time jobs and, taking care of my kids and all the stuff that goes into caring for kids and having a family. And I had to figure out a solution because I knew that it wasn't sustainable. I couldn't continue this forever.
You could feel the burnout?
I could feel the burnout, for sure. I was exhausted. I was truly exhausted.
I think something to add in there too, like how many weekends with friends did you give up? How many nights with friends when they're always asking you to go do stuff? I remember you telling me that. You're like, they'd ask me, I'm like, I just can't do it. It's like, I got to take care of my kids, and then I got to work on this business to provide this life so I can get them to where they need to be in their life. That was a very common thing that you said.
Totally. Yeah. All of my friends, I was like that person always that I was like, then, sorry, I can't come. I can go, to every single social events or, the fun parties that I wanted to go to, the holiday part, whatever. I had 2 jobs and 3 kids to take care of. So I couldn't always do that. And I was missing out. I wanted that. I wanted, that lifestyle. I wanted to be able to join my friends and, holiday parties and,
So Shelly, at that point where you were feeling the burnout and you were thinking real estate, why were you thinking real estate was going to be an answer or a solution to this problem?
So Okay, so initially I didn't even really consider real estate. So I knew that I was stuck and I was trying to figure it out. And I was vocalizing that to my friends and to colleagues at the college. And actually, my dean of all people at the college suggested that I go see this astrologer. And I thought, well, yeah, I have nothing to lose except for maybe $100 and an hour's worth of my time, right? So I went to this astrologer, and it was actually the best hour and best $100 I ever spent on myself in my entire life.
Wow.
The astrologer actually, instead of like telling me my fortune or like telling me what I needed to do or giving me all the answers, she actually asked me amazing questions, like questions that I wasn't asking myself, that my friends weren't asking me. And I remember her asking, the first one was, okay, if you go to, because I was thinking that maybe I needed to go back to college to get a higher degree, to get a higher paying, job, because that's what society tells you to do. Like you need to go back to college to get that higher, paying position, and
get your master's, get this, get that, right?
Yeah. And she asked me a really great question. She said, okay, once you get that higher degree and you get that higher paying position, will that amount be enough for you for that lifestyle to be able to quit, your other job? And the answer was no. Like it actually wasn't. It wasn't enough money. It was maybe $20,000 to $30,000 higher, but still, like, now I'm making $60,000 to $70,000. It's not a bad income, but I wanted a better life. I wanted more than that.
Yeah.
And so, she asked me that question. And then she also asked me, because she knew that I owned the wedding and event planning business and that it did, turn into Eugene's premier event planning business. And I was, touching it, part-time to full-time. And, she asked me, like, why did I think, a college education or, furthering my education would be the answer when I've already proven that I'm a successful entrepreneur and I have the drive and I have the determination and I have all of those things. Why did I think that, that college was the answer? And, that really resonated with me. Honestly, I thought she was crazy at the time because I myself was preaching to my kids, like, go to college, like you have to go to college. And, of course I was I mentored and taught, at the college. And so, college education was really important to me and, I held it in a high value, but I realized that, it still wasn't the answer.
So how did you, she asked you that question and it was like a switch went off in your head. You're a teacher. You tell people, like, come to me and I will help you improve your position by getting a degree or education, and then you can better yourself and make more money, right? That's what the system tells you to do. But yet she asks you this question and then she poses to you that you're already successful. What is an education going to do when you're already been successful as an entrepreneur? And you realize, oh my gosh, she's right. Like you literally shifted. I could feel it when you just sat there. Like your whole mindset just shifted right there because she showed you from the outside that you're already successful. And do you need education? Because I'm guessing all along the way on your wedding planning business, you had to learn new things and you just discovered them through the internet, research, whatever you needed to do to get the answers, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you better be good at research and education and reading and all these things you learn at school. You just have the drive, Right. And so I still want to get back to real estate because I think your story is awesome. So when did this real estate thing happen? Like, what was the first thing you did as far as getting into real estate? Because it sounds like real estate was your thing of like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm burnt out. I need something different. How am I going to supplement income or add income so that maybe, I'm guessing what your plan is that you wanted to get out of the teaching, keep the side hustle because you're probably doing better, making more money, or you saw more potential there, and then add real estate as an asset that can give you maybe residual income?
Totally. Yeah. And so honestly, like, real estate still wasn't even in my thinking. um, I mean, it's so weird because it does come a little bit later. And I realized it later, but what happened was, after that whole, started understanding like, okay, I need to do something, and I was stuck. And I realized, one day I was just like, I was researching, and I saw actually, from my mortgage statement, like how much equity I had built in the house that I bought back when I divorced. And at the time, I actually bought that house more so that my kids could each have a bedroom, and it was a purchase made out of survival and healing rather than large equity gains, right? So when I saw like how much equity was sitting in my house, even from this turnkey house that I had, over those years, I saw that it was double the amount that I had put down, right? So I remember thinking to myself, like, I need more. I saw that equity, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I need more equity in my life. And that was
that's a good statement. It's a really good one.
Yeah, that's when like I came up with an idea to because I started researching even more. When I realized I had this much equity, I read somewhere that if you purchase a house and you stay there for 2+ years and you sell it, then you get to actually keep all of that equity tax-free. And that really excited me. So what I did was I came up with a plan to basically sell my turnkey house and buy a shitty house, a really horrible house in like this horrible area, and everybody.
Sorry, kids.
This isn't a challenge. I need a bigger challenge.
Well, all of my friends were like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Like, because it was a shithole. Like the first house that I bought, it was not a nice house, and but I had the idea, to fix it up over the course of 2 years. So when I sold my house, I had doubled, the equity in my home. So I had about 40,000. And after I put the down payment, I really only had about 10,000 left to be able to fix up this house. It really wasn't enough to do the whole project, right? So the benefit, though, with the way that my plan, was, or that I had formulated, was that I moved me and my kids into this construction zone, and I basically had 2 years to be able to fix it up. So I just did it little by little with the income, from my event planning business. Anything that I would make extra, I would just put it straight into the house, and I would hire a contractor to come in month after month, little by little, and fix it up over the 2 years.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. So let's paint this picture. You sold a house that was turnkey, that was comfortable. You got the equity out of that house because you had this awesome idea that you were going to buy a fixer-upper, and you gave yourself 2 years because you were going to fix it up, and then in 2 years you were going to resell it so that you didn't have to pay any capital gains. But not only were you a teacher and an event planner, but now you brought your family into this, what you would call a shithole, and you decided to live in there while you're doing construction and everything else.
And her kids still talk about it today. They've lived in the construction zones, and they don't care. They can live anywhere. And I've been in construction zones with her, and I'm like, this has got to get, I can't be doing this. I get it. It can get pretty
less. You're living in constant dust, and somebody will open a wall and bugs will come. I don't know, just random steams. It's all the stuff that comes with it, and it's loud and it's uncomfortable. It's not pleasant. It wasn't pleasant. But I was hoping that the reward would outweigh all of those, negative things.
So did it?
Totally. Hugely.
That's how it went down. Give us more of the story. I'm excited now.
So I mean, of course, I had, like I said, about 40,000 initially, and then after the down payment, I had about 10. Again, little by little, I just I fixed it up, and then when that 2 years came up, I had doubled the money. After all expenses, after everything, I walked away with $80,000. I doubled. And that was like a huge win for me. And I realized this plan actually is working and this can work. And maybe I can quit one of my jobs someday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when let's go. I want to go into your mindset there, because I think that you were definitely in the survival phase and you put yourself in a position that I think very few people would have the character or the guts to live through that situation. But what was your mindset? I mean, was it, hey, you know what? I got to get to a certain cash point because then I'll be more financially free. I mean, what was it in that survival phase mindset that you were going after? And how did you know when you got there? Was it you got there because then you got rid of the teaching? Because was it the teaching gig that you ultimately wanted to drop that you were working hard for?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard for me to have someone else dictate my schedule. You know, I had to be there every day from 7 to 3:30. It didn't matter. You know, the day and you only get a certain amount of time to take vacations, and you know, so time was an issue. I wanted to be free from that, for sure.
You wanted to live life on your terms?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Totally.
Yeah. Wanted to live life on her terms. By creating more equity.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about like what was it like for you as a single mom, but also a woman dealing with contractors? Because I think a lot of women are scared to get in real estate, especially rehabbing and construction, because of men who are normally the contractors. What was your experience with that? Because I think that's important for people to hear, especially women if they're out there.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I had a great, you know, situation where I had a friend who was a contractor, and he really assisted me, you know, with, you know, what needs to come and when, you know, kind of like the timeline stuff. So what I did was I actually documented everything that he was teaching me, because of course, like I'm a teacher, you know, I was learning and I needed to know for myself how to do this on my own. So that
you were basically building a plan while you were in the middle of this process of like, okay, let's build this plan because I'm going to probably do this again.
Totally. Yeah. Because that was my ultimate, like, I knew that, you know, every 2 years I could do this, right? And make, you know, hopefully double, triple, quadruple my, you know, net worth. And that's what my ultimate goal was. And so I needed to know how to do this, you know, myself, like how to, you know, what comes when, and, you know, all of those things. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the majority of contractors and even real estate investors out there, I'm surrounded by men. I mean, truly, I'm usually like the only lady in the room sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I feel like though that they gave me so much respect by just even trying, you know, just by even putting my foot forward, you know, just my best effort forward. And I'm the first to admit, hey, listen, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. This is my plan. Please be patient with me. But you know, I'm trying here.
Well, okay, so I think this is really important for people because, again, coming from the context of a woman, it's intimidating, right? But like when you were looking for a contractor, what, you know, there's going to be contractors that are going to treat you like, it doesn't, man or woman, they're going to treat you like crap. And then there's contractors that are going to be like, you know what? I want to help this lady because they have compassion and they're not just doing it to make a dollar. I mean, how did you find the right guys?
Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of like how I built my event planning business. You don't just stumble upon, you know, and create the premier event planning business, you know, in the area. You do so by creating amazing teams. You know, my leaders, my DJ, like I created, you know, these amazing teams to be able to execute these events. The same thing went into all of these houses. Like if somebody treated me like shit, they're out. Like I will never put up with anybody who will treat me disrespectfully or, you know, treat me like I'm, not important or, so it's easy to filter out those people. and you never use them. I mean, sure, you might have used them for one job.
Right.
I'm okay with firing right in the middle of a job. Like, you can go. I don't want you around my space. I don't want you around my, I need the positive energy for sure. So, I just made sure that I hired really good people.
Did you fire anybody in the middle of this first one?
I did. I actually.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
It was a there was a
bye-bye.
Yeah, no, he came in and just super hothead, just basically was frustrated with the way that things, and maybe I didn't do things in the right order, or maybe I had another contractor.
Yeah, you're learning.
I was trying to figure things out, and he was really, he was not nice to me. And I just told him that he could walk back out my front door.
Good for you.
He's like, what? No, I'm here to work. No, actually, it's kind of funny. Like, the way contractors are, I actually think, I don't want to be, sexist or anything or come off weird, but I think in the end, when she started finding the right people, or when I've seen, contractors work around her, she creates a really good relationship with them, and they are so amazing. Like, I don't even think I can create those types of relationships, with contractors that she is able to create. And I don't know if it's a personality type or what, but it just seems to be like a natural talent of bringing people together and building a great team, because they bend over backwards. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's
from
cool.
what I've seen. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, Shelly, well, that's awesome about your first project. So let's go a little bit deeper into what you're doing right now. So take us from that first house and kind of speed forward a little bit on let's put it on fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Where did you go from that first project to where you are today in the real estate world?
Yeah. So I've been doing this now for about 10, 12 years. I'm on my 6th primary residence flip, right? So every 2 years I've moved, and then in between that, I've actually, now that I, have made so much money, I've been able to then flip houses, within, 3 to 4 months time, or a couple months time, and, be able to do that in between the primary residences.
And there was a point, though, you left LCC, and I think that's probably a good point to hit on, because you were doing it every 2 years. And then when you left LCC, then you started being like, I'm doing this every 6 months. And it's just like, kept getting faster and faster.
And LCC, that was your teaching gig, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the community college she worked at. So, but yeah, so that is, I think, probably a pretty important point to make, because there was a moment where she's like, I can leave this job and leave there and just keep doing this and doing my event planning. So, right. I mean, take it from there.
No, 100%. I was finally able to leave that job and, focus.
Yeah.
And once you then put your time and attention onto something, what happens, right? It grows.
Well, okay, but let's go back here, because this is the entrepreneurial spirit. When you left your teaching gig and now you knew you had your event planning and you had your real estate, which was all yours, and now you were literally working life on your terms, you were building the plan for your life exactly how you want it. You scheduled it exactly how you want it, and nobody could tell you different. I mean, tell me, what does that feel like?
It feels amazing. I was able to get up, like, one of my biggest passions in life is to travel. International travel to me is like one of the greatest gifts and learning experiences you can give yourself and my kids. I actually started taking my kids. I was able to take them on international trips and be able to show them other cultures, and so it was amazing for me to be able to not have to ask somebody to take time off. I scheduled my own time off. I was able to go anywhere that I wanted, anytime I wanted. If I wanted to, you work hard regardless, right? And in anything that you do. And, but if I wanted to take an afternoon off, I was able to. If I needed to go to my kids', whatever event, I didn't feel the guilt anymore. I didn't have to, it was easy for me to be able to be present, with my family.
Well, Bob, do you have any other questions you want to ask Shelly? Because you know her better than any of us.
What's your future look like? Because I really want to know if I have to move again. she's already got her house for sale. I'm hoping it doesn't sell because I really like that house. She's more aggressive about, I like to have a primary residence. Like, it's funny because like when we got together, like, and then when we kind of consolidated households, like I realized I'm actually the one that needs stability in my life more so than her. And she has to worry about me because if my house is turned upside down and I can't focus on anything, like I find myself just driving around circles around the city. Like if she's like Airbnb out our house or something, because she's got our houses on, our primary residence on Airbnb, and it's a beautiful home, so we get a really high rate for it. And another house that we own together that's on Airbnb, and all those things are booked out, then we have to think, have somewhere to go and figure it all out. So, but so. Shelly,
that's awesome. You guys are like the real estate team. So, Shelly, would you mind sharing, just from your perspective, when you kept turning houses, and then you got rid of your college teaching job or your teaching job, and then you kind of got into the real estate. I mean, in the last 12 years, are we talking like a couple 100,000? Are we like, because again, the reason I want to bring that perspective is you were barely getting by paycheck to paycheck. So I'm guessing you didn't have much in the reserve account. And now today, I mean, what did you make just to inspire other people?
Yeah, I mean, I turned, the 40 into 80, and then the 80 into 160, and then, so on and so forth, and times that by 6, and that's about where I'm at.
That's awesome. So, that's awesome.
And not only that, it's like, I have, like Robert said, I am figuring out other ways to make money within that, within the real estate industry. And that is, when we do finally fix up that house, I can fix it up really quickly, and we still live there for 2 years. I can Airbnb out the house and make even more money. It covers the mortgage payment every month. Yeah. And so it's just being really resourceful and like trying to, I love making money.
Well, and that's the beauty. See, that was one of the things when I was back, and I always bring this up and they're going to hear it a million times, but I was back in my parents' basement and I was brainstorming, like, if I'm going to go a direction, like it has to have, because I know my personality, I get bored very easy. I love to discover new things. So it has to have a lot of depth in it. Like I have to be able to go deep into something, and I have to be able to do a lot of different things. And the more that I researched and discovered what real estate had and all the opportunities and all the directions and all the different formulas and all the different ways that you can make money in real estate, it was like, this is it. Like I'll never get bored, and I'll never discover all the ways that I can leverage real estate in one way, shape, or form to make money, make a passive return, to survive and make an income. And that's awesome. And that's why I love talking to people like you, because I haven't gone down that path. Sure, and we have a lot of similarities, but I haven't gone down that path, the same path that you went down. And that's what's so cool about real estate. It's just so flexible and it's so deep and broad.
Totally. Yeah. No, I feel very fortunate, and I love it. So it's interesting because COVID hit, obviously, right, last year. And, it was honestly event after event, because I still had my wedding and event planning business even up until last year. And when COVID hit, it was like a domino effect, like event after event started canceling. And I went from a packed schedule to absolutely nothing on the books. And Robert and I were, talking about it, come April, May. I was actually one of the fortunate ones. I got a COVID-19
resourceful ones. Yeah.
So I got a COVID-19 contract working with Providence hospitals in Portland to set up all of their drive-through testing sites, right? So, but we in talking, we were just like, when this is all over and when the testing sites are done, this actually is a great time to transition and completely get rid of that event planning business, because really my passion is being in real estate. And it is that, that area where if I put all of my time and attention to, it will grow, it'll blossom. So I'm excited because this is truly, 2021 is truly my first year that I will be doing real estate full time.
That's so
yeah.
The future.
Okay, well, okay, you're doing it full time now. I mean, we're going to be putting your episode in our podcast. We are doing more of a timeline of going from like you were like, oh my gosh, how do I survive? I need to make something work, to where all three of us are, where it's like, now we're thriving and like, what's our big thing that we're going to do next? Right. So that's what this podcast is. Well, we're interviewing you because I want to put this story in the survival phase of the timeline of this podcast, because I don't think I'm going to find a better story about someone that's willing to go to just any degree to make herself successful, that's willing to take any jump out of any plane whenever she sees an opportunity. I mean, I really appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
But like, now tell us about, what are you going to do now? Now you are 100% into real estate. And, the thing is that I can just tell with your mindset that you are not a just do one person, because you can take on so many things at once. What are you going to do with real estate? Where do you see real estate taking you in the next 5 years, 10 years? But then I want to also know, where do you see real estate taking you when you're 60? Because that's a real visionary to me, is like, where am I going to go when I'm 60 with real estate? Because look at everything you've done in such a short period of time. What are you going to do when you get to 60? Like, I mean, you might own like the Empire State Building or something.
That would be amazing.
Domino effect. First domino.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I've just joined Grand Real Estate Investments, our family real estate investing business. And so I'm going to manage, a lot of the projects within Grand Real Estate. Robert and I also own, it's called KG Investments, kind of our own investment business. And I plan to continue to grow that and nurture that and build, more properties under that portfolio. But, ultimately, I do have to go back to my roots. Like, teaching and mentoring people is really a huge part of who I am. And I would love to be able to teach and mentor other women, especially, women who want to get into investing. There aren't a lot of us. And I would love to be able to be that sounding board, or be that, person who can help, especially a female, get to the next level. A lot of people have excuses, and, I'm the type of person who, there can't be an excuse. Like, you go for it.
Trust me, I know.
Right? I mean, excuses hold you back. And if you really truly want to do something, so I would love to mentor and teach, and even, young ones, especially females, to be able to be their best, to do their best. Yeah. And then of course, like when I'm 60, like that was the question, like, what do I want to do? I probably don't want to, manage a whole lot at that point. Robert and I have been talking, we use a private money lender right now, for some of our projects. And I would love to actually get into lending money. I could see that being a really great thing when I'm 60 plus years old. You don't have to manage too much, except for, where the financials are going, all of the contracts that are out there. That might be a nice way, to kind of retire.
That's awesome. Well, Shelly, I can tell you right now, it's just an honor to be able to hear your story today. I think, you know what, if you want to be anything, you can be it, because you have tons of drive and tons of passion and definitely a fire. So thank you for being on today. It was fantastic. And I know that the people listening will definitely be inspired. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Value Driven Investor Podcast, where we lead by giving. For more information about our community and what's new, visit valuedriveninvestor.com.
The Value Driven Investor Podcast was produced by Digital Legend Media in Minneapolis. Build your legend, digitallegendmedia.com.